The Cabinet Secretary for Interior, Honorable Kipchumba Murkomen, is calling for strategic partnerships in disaster risk reduction efforts. Speaking exclusively to our producer, Bernard Timbe, in the recently concluded Global Platform for Disaster Risk Reduction in Geneva, Switzerland, the Cabinet Secretary emphasized on the importance of ensuring that no one is left behind in building a more resilient country in disaster risk reduction. Take a listen.
We are at the Global Platform for Disaster Risk Reduction 2025, and I'm being joined by, Waziri. Thank you for being here. How has been the experience so far about the event?
Well, generally it's been a very good engagement for me. From the day I arrived here, I have had conversation with various players in this sector. Remember that global climate financing is supporting Kenya, initiatives in Kenya of over 20 programs to a tune of almost $1 billion. And this is very important for us because this fund has done programs that are assisting or helping us to be able to cope with disaster in the country and to plan for resilience in terms of various programs that are related infrastructure and otherwise. You know that I also had a meeting with the UNHCR, again centered around issues of disaster risk reduction. But as you know, UNHCR, an international organization of migration, play a very important role in this sector, working together with governments. And again, we have discussed ways of implementing Shirika Plan, which is a very innovative plan looking at integration of refugees in host countries, and particularly by building infrastructure, and for this purpose infrastructure that is disaster resilient, for purpose of ensuring that there is a long-term solution to the question of competition of resources between the local community and the refugees team. So we had a good conversation about how to take forward our Shirika Plan, and we hope that the development partners will put quickly in the resources as we shift the model from humanitarian to development-based, which is integration of these refugees on the ground. So as a country, there are many development partners we are speaking to here. I spoke to Norwegian development, the Norwegian government and their representatives in the Office of Development, and we have also agreed on a few programs, including the conference we are holding at the end of this year that will review the progress we've made in matters of disaster risk reduction.
And Pengina Waziri, you've mentioned something very important about, building infrastructure that can actually assist, in disaster reduction, talking of people with disabilities. Such infrastructure is very crucial. Should we see probably the BRT coming back to life, so to speak?
We have many programs in Kenya. As you know, from the Ministry of Interior, our job is to coordinate other government institutions to be able to prepare for disaster management and to avoid disasters in case of floods, drought, if you have situations of earthquakes and so forth. So the infrastructure must be resilient. And as you know, that failure to plan for resilient infrastructure leads to catastrophic security problems. That includes loss of lives, especially in urban areas. In Nairobi, for example, it's important to note that as we speak now, a lot of flooding takes place in the Nairobi city, which is taking away lives, especially in informal settlements. It's also affecting movement, mobility in the city, and therefore having proper drainage in the city and planning for the same, creating a multimodal transport system that includes bus rapid transit system is extremely important. As you know, the government of Kenya is already working with different development partners, including European Union, to build various infrastructure in the city. For example, BRT Line 3 is being supported by the European Union to build better infrastructure from Dandora area. And so BRT is a program which is ongoing. Of course, we have challenges at the moment in terms of resources and building disaster resilient infrastructure, whether now or whether in modifying the existing infrastructure or greenfields require higher resources, and therefore resource is a very important factor for us. The challenges we have as a country is to plan, put the resources in place, and luckily, as a country, our housing fund is doing a fantastic job. Housing levy is doing a fantastic job to ensure that we have better infrastructure in the urban areas, particularly in formal sectors, but also when we leverage on public-private partnership, like the expressway in Nairobi and the planned Rironi-Mau Summit Road, enables us to be able to get the resources that facilitate building better infrastructure.
And probably, Waziri, as we wind up this conversation, the most elaborate topic in this particular global platform has been about the implementation of the Sendai framework. I mean, as a country, what are some of the key milestones, and also probably if there are any challenges to that effect? But first of all, what are some of the key milestones when it comes to the implementation of the Sendai framework?
As you know, the country already put in place the disaster risk management policy of 2017, which is guiding us in ensure that we have a cross-cutting and mainstreamed policies that are dealing with disaster reduction in the country. You know also that we are in the process of reviewing our building code in the country so that they can be in line with disaster resilient infrastructure. We are working on the legal framework. You know that disaster management law is now at advanced stage in Parliament that will give us both regulatory and governance structure that is responsive to the two levels of government, but also the modern challenges we are facing insofar as disaster is concerned. You know that Kenya also, in terms of our planning, in terms of our programs, we are expected that we mainstream all the policies and plans that we have based on the 2017 policy framework. So as a country, this is work in progress. Resources remains a big challenge because this infrastructure we build may be 2-3 times costly than the existing infrastructure because it has to be disaster responsive, and therefore as a country we must be able to find innovative ways of raising these resources. That's why you hear the president making a very passionate call in the reform of the global financial architecture to enable countries like ours and other African countries and in the countries in global south to access financing at an affordable cost. Because we are accessing finance at a double digit, yet we are the most disadvantaged. You can also see that we are mainstreaming climate resilient plans across the country, including responding to climate change by ensuring that we plant 15 billion trees within the next 10 years, among others. There are so many, there are a host of programs that the government of Kenya is working on, including climate responsive budgeting that is being led by the Minister of Finance to ensure that the budgets that we have, we are budgeting for a climate responsive budget that takes care of matters of disaster reduction.
And Waziri, this is the final question. I mean, the president just recently signed into law the Persons with Disability Bill 2025. I mean, is there a provision that guarantees rights for persons with disabilities when it comes to matters disaster risk reduction?
The new disability law enables greater access for persons with disabilities and building of infrastructure that is accessible to persons with disabilities, building of roads, putting in place policies that ensure that persons with disabilities can access public spaces easily and as a matter of right. So this is a very progressive law. What remains is just for us to be able to implement it. The law itself is responsive and the law is compliant with the disaster risk reduction policies and programs that we have agreed as a country to adopt.
Well, that's all that we heard about the Global Platform for Disaster Risk Reduction 2025 from Geneva,
Thank you.
Switzerland. Mheshimiwa, asante sana for making time.
Thank you very much.